Yeah, we're starting a little early tonight. It's not quite 7:30 or 8 o'clock, but that's okay. And just a quick announcement before I start. Friday night, 7 to 11, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah. 7 to 11 tomorrow night, Friday night, we're going to be doing the beginner boost, the Go programming. I think it's week 3 or 4 of Go programming instead of Saturday. Saturday, I'm going to be IRL streaming an art show, pretty amazing art show that my wife and friends are in. So just want to put that out there. I'll be announcing that on all of my videos. So let's go through what I've done in the Homelab. So it is dark tonight, and I promise, I mean, a lot of people have been wanting to see the rig and the lab and everything, and it's all built and everything. I just need a couple of wires left over. I put that out there last. I've actually just made my final Amazon purchase, about $250 for some cables to finish doing anything. I did build a lot of my own cables, but there's just so many. There's like 25, 30 cables, and people are laughing out there because a few people said, "Hey, why are you gonna make your own cables? Why would you do that? It's lame. It takes forever. Just buy them." And I'm doing that. It's just a little bit more expensive, and I got plenty of experience, with the crimpers again, which is why I did it, because I've cabled my entire houses before. In fact, here's a little tip: if you're buying a new house, new construction, where you have to go to like the design center and order everything up, and a lot of times when people do that, the last 2 houses that I've lived in, we bought and designed, and this is before my current marriage. We've never been in a house because, anyway. So if you keep tabs on the house, when it comes time to do the wiring for the house, when the moment when the frame is all up and everything, and then they take a break and they get all the contractors to come in. They hire the low voltage wiring people to come in and put stereo, equipment and wires in and everything. And then they eventually hire the electrician to come in and wire it up and put your circuits in there. And we actually ordered at the house, we ordered 2 20-amp extra circuits that got, piped right into the closet where I set up my Homelab office, which is literally a closet. It's bigger than this room, but it was a closet. And during that time, you can actually sneak in, and they don't know better. We actually got permission. We went to the front house and said, "Hey, I am a tech guy. I do low voltage wiring. I know what's up. I know I don't have a license or anything, but it's my house, and I'm going to go in there. I'm going to put this wiring in anyway as soon as the thing's put up. But can I do it while the walls are still down?" And she goes, "We just won't tell anybody." And so we make sure it's not illegal and you don't get picked up by the police or something. But so they let me go in. They informally let me go in, and I put Cat 6 wiring in every single room, and I guess it's breaking code, but it's low voltage wiring. There's no code for low voltage wiring. And I think it was really cool is because even though I was putting my own boxes in, I put them exactly where I wanted them and everything. They sheetrocked it all in perfectly. They put the mounts on it and everything. And I didn't give them all the mounting stuff. I just put the boxes in, and I put the outlets there, and the sheetrock guys finished the whole thing. It was so cool. No low voltage wiring yet. Yeah. And you don't have to be licensed to do low voltage wiring. It's actually one of the better, if you're going to get into a job doing contracting and this kind of thing. I mean, there's some people out there. So it's coming. Thanks for ruining the party. So I would have done the same if the studs were showing. Yeah, the studs were up there. And I mean, it wasn't, you can't do that with electricity. I mean, I could have. I knew how to do it. In fact, in the house before that we also bought, I put in my own, my own outlet. I split one of the outlets and I put my own electrical outlet, and that's against the law. People do it all the time, but that's a thing that you have to be licensed to do that in America. Yeah, you did the wiring even? Holy shit. Did they come after you? Anyway, so and I dealt with the power supply thing here, so I should probably do this. Concluded that my apartment, let's see, I did the research in the apartment to find all the circuits and what they power, So this was kind of cool. While my family was out, I literally went through the whole circuit box, which your apartments have actually. Most of them do. I didn't know this. And I went through and I turned everything off. I just checked everything that was obvious. And I found out that the bathroom receptacles are combined. So there's two of them, and they are 20 amp. So it makes sense, right? So I'm actually, I know this is, you're gonna laugh at this, but one of my racks is now taped. The power cord is now taped to the floor, and it uses my 20 amp power socket in the bathroom. And I'm not going to put the rack in the bathroom, but it just goes into the bathroom. And I'm just going to write off that. But the bathroom's too small to really do anything in that bathroom anyway. And we have another one, so we're going to use it for storage. And I know that's weird. We're just gonna, we're just gonna use it for storage. The fridge plug wasn't in her breaker box. Oh my gosh, her neighbor paid her fridge bill the entire time. Oh my goodness. I don't doubt it for a second. I mean, some people like Jalopy and Matter people out here are more, plugged in literally to this kind of stuff. And so I was able to find, and I did find out, this is another thing that I found out. So yeah, it turns out the master bedroom is on its own 15 amp circuit. So that was kind of cool. So my wife gave me the master bedroom as my office, because that's what I'm in right now. Because I mean, we spent so much time actually sleeping in the other room. It's a waste of time, it's storage. So it works out nice, because this entire room is one circuit. That includes all of this stuff that I'm doing here, and one of the racks. I have two. So that worked out well. So I'm super happy to figure that out. I mean, the reason for that I like that is because as long as we plug in the vacuum outside, like in the hallway, and as long as my wife doesn't go crazy with the hair dryer or some shit, or drop it in the tub or something. Hopefully, I would kill her anyway. Then I'm fine. I'm fine with even if I do max power draw on all my devices, which I did the math for. In fact, I talked about this last time, but if you go look at the math in my README, I now have all the wattages, which is volts times amps, in case you're wondering. And I was able to, I'm not a good electrician, so I had to figure this out. I did decide against a 20 amp. I went back to a 15 amp. So in fact, let's do the math right now on this. So this is now a 15 amp, because the 20 amp won't plug into the wall. Just won't do it. 15 amp is 1800 watts. I'm pretty sure, if I remember doing the math right. And that is going to be a problem, because, I'm drawing too much. If I plug all of these things in, the HP servers, these are all max wattages, by the way. So max power consumption stats from the site. I went out to the site. I hope some of you will be proud of me, because you were telling me to do this. I went out to all of the sites, and I looked for the max power consumption number, which apparently is required on devices. And they have, a lot of the devices have like both idle and max power consumption. And so I looked up the max power consumption numbers, and you're never supposed to go above 80% of your total circuit, which means it's probably much less than that, but whatever. And so the HP server is 975 watts. The MSI Tridents combined are 1380, and that's with their GPUs like really activated. Hey Satu, and how's it going, Prutz? So then my Dell monitor up there is 33 watts when it's plugged in, and I mean, honestly, I am not going to be running these devices at max wattage. The MSI Tridents are so high because they got really beefy GPUs in them that I'm almost never going to use. So they'll probably idle a lot more around 85 watts like the Mac Minis. So the Mac Minis are amazingly at full power are only 85 watts each. So I have 3K consumption by the time you add in all the daily, the daily rig and all its monitors, and then the lights in the bathroom. Actually, the same circuit. No, Now, but yeah, we're Jalopy, I'm doing it by rack right here. Okay. So this is by rack. This is not by total circuit load, which is a different thing. I agree. Yeah, just my streaming rig with all the monitors on is going to be a lot on that. So, so anyway, one of the reasons that I went through and I did the wattages here is, I don't know if you can see it, but right now I only have the six primary Kubernetes nodes, which we're going to set up tonight, hopefully, on the six Macs. And based on this too, I've also been considering not setting up a full 6 1 terabyte node each SFFS. And I mean, this is 1 terabyte. I probably don't need much more storage than that for what I want to do. So I'm thinking about just doing one NFS mount and then waiting to do the SFFS stuff until I have an actual circuit. I mean, the machines are all ready to go. I just have to turn them on. But I mean, also, we don't know how much it's going to cost, right? So I don't have to leave everything on all the time. But I do need at least, an NFS, and I have the Active Directory to use, which is going through the Wi-Fi, actually, the Wi-Fi device that I have. And we're going to talk about that. I actually switched out this thing here, this ISP modem to, and I probably need to get the wattage on that. Hey, thank you. Into entire complexes of power. Yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, the Mac Pro, I don't know if I'm going to turn it on. I mean, honestly, I don't need all of these machines. So I just want to be able to have the power to have all the machines eventually. So, we are going to be moving, and the next place we move, we're going to have more of a say about what we're going to be running here. So I just want to know what I'm dealing with. So, when I plug this in, I don't anticipate, I mean, the only thing that kind of bothers me right now is that I had to switch from a 15 amp PDU to a 20 amp PDU to a 15 amp, because that is not enough. That will trip before I reach max power on all of these devices. And so that means that I won't be able to run everything that I have in this rack at full power. And oh, thanks. And so, I don't know if I ever will, though. That's the thing. I've never tripped anything before, even though I've had all of this stuff plugged in before, even into one socket. So, because I don't push the limit, but I actually do kind of want to get something out of this and all this investment. I want to start actually running these things to do, I don't know, brute force, password cracking or scanning the internet. I mean, none of that stuff takes a really intense amount of CPU. So I think, I don't know, we're going to find out what can be done. And because I have metered PDUs, I can see how much I'm pushing through the PDU before it breaks, right? And we're never, ever, the rig that I have right now is never, ever, ever going to trip the home circuit, because the PDUs will trip way before that happens. Even if I have all three PDUs at 15 amps going at the same time, well, actually, that's not true. This one won't ever trip, because it's never going to get that high, because there's only one PDU and it can't go above 1800. So it will trip and I'll lose power, and I don't have a UPS. I want to get UPS, but they're expensive. They're way, way, way expensive. So anyway, we'll talk about that. The Mac Minis, however, this one actually turns out to be 2700 watts, and they're split across two 15 amps. So eventually these two power cables will probably have to go into separate circuits, separate 15, 20 amp circuits. So the final form of this is two racks with three outlets with three plugs, each plug going into a different 15 amp circuit. And if that means I have to run a power cable, we'll go for it. We'll do it that way. But until then, I'm just going to leave some stuff unplugged in or not push it, right? I might actually plug it all in and then just not really push it, depending on, power costs and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't have a Homelab thing yet. I'm so sorry. So this is artibixrob/Homelab. That's the GitHub, if you want to go look at that. Yeah, and then I have this ISP modem. I also, Some customer mixed power strip, PDU, two systems, nanos. I also have on this rack. I now have a I have a wait. I think I put the patch panel right here. Yeah. I have I have a what do I call it? A Protectli Vault, a Protectli Vault, OPNsense, and I'm gonna go look up the wattage on that right now while we're thinking about it. You're thinking UPS out of 2-car batteries? Really? Oh my god, that's probably cheaper. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I've got lots of thoughts on that. I'm not going to overly stress about the UPS thing right now. Obviously UPS is required. I do have UPS, and I'm going to put the UPS on my main VM server, the HP thing, and that's pretty much it. The rest of the stuff, if it dies, it dies. And we'll see. I mean, that's, disaster recovery. I guess I'll practice that a little bit. Speaking of disaster recovery, I've been doing etcd backup stuff all these days, so that'll be fun to get into. Let me just spend a moment figuring out what the power drain of the Protectli Vault is, and it will just take a second. It's on Amazon, and so we'll go to orders. I probably shouldn't show you this though. Oh well, too late. You know how much I paid. It didn't show where I'm from though, so I mean, it doesn't matter where I'm from. You already know that. I've doxed that so many times. All right, so here we go. There's nothing doxed on the screen, so I can show it to you. So this little thing is so beautiful, and it runs really hot though. It's crazy how hot it runs. But it's doing a lot. It's got some really cool things about it though. I really like it. It's got all these power adapters. It actually has a USB. Did you see this? It has a good old-fashioned serial port that you can plug in. So if you want to use old school, which it's just so cool. I know it's expensive. It's $390 for a really kick-ass firewall. And so we came here because I wanted to see Ethernet optional Wi-Fi. Does it have Wi-Fi on it? I guess it does have Wi-Fi. I ran it through my old Netgear Wi-Fi router and used that instead. So I didn't realize this actually has. Ouch. Hey, it's time for me to do something. So says my watch. All right, so the Vault Security Network, blah blah blah. Gigabit Ethernet ports, 4 gigabit Ethernet ports, 2 by USB, 1 RJ45 COM. So I actually have 2 more zones I can set up. So if I wanted to, I could do a what is it, a 2-tier network setup and buy another switch, which I might do just for fun, but I don't need it. How's it going, Mole Concept? Good morning to you. All right, so 1.6 gigahertz Celeron, 4 gig DDR, 32 gigabyte SAN, SSD, sorry. Protectli, Linux hardware platform, Linux, Windows, 2.48 pounds. It's so cute. It really is. Ethernet 10 base T, 1 CRT battery. No, okay, it has a battery in it already. Why not OPNsense in a VM? Because they crash and burn. We had some people answer that already. Yeah, pfSense in a VM is completely unreliable. People do it all the time, but it's extremely dangerous. I would never do it. I mean, unless you want to mess around. I have a guy, the guy that told me about OPNsense, he actually does that. And he says that the advantage for him is that when he's rearranging things, he can just move it over. He can send it over to another VM, and he doesn't have to mess anything. Yeah, so it's not going to be able to perform as well as raw hardware, bottom line. And I'm not inclined to put, I mean, you can if you want. I just don't want to. There's just the virtualization layer. I mean, one of the reasons that I got the one I did that's a little bit heftier is because it can do on the fly DNS and VPN encryption and all that kind of stuff that invokes the hardware. And the virtualization is probably pretty good for that, but I don't want that. There was somebody in here, and I told them I just didn't have a good feeling about it. And they said, well, it's a good thing because here's what happened to me. And they talked about how their pfSense, died on them because it was in a VM. Now, it's probably not going to happen for 90% of the people that do it, but I don't want to risk it. Besides, I like physical separation anyway. I mean, I know VMs and everything are a thing, but and it's a compelling argument to be able to put your VM in in a VM. But I also got done trying really hard to get through Network Chuck, talking about layer 4 and layer 2 tier and 3-tier network architecture, and you can't have 2-tier network architecture in VMs. I'm sorry, it's not. You're like throwing away all that redundancy because you're now dependent completely on a host OS, which I don't want. I don't want that. I want my networking to work even if the machine goes down. And, I want to be able to re-image the machine at any time. And the guy I was talking to today is arguing that that's actually good because you can use, Proxmox or whatever. You can push your whole pfSense configuration, the entire VM, to another system while you're working on the other system, and it's fine. But the whole thing is completely dependent on your VM server being up. And I would much rather pay the extra $400 to have, a dedicated device to this. Not to mention the fact that it's also cabled in, is physically separate with a NIC pass through. The network is physically. I mean, if you want to do that, you can do that way. Yeah, but it's completely against the grain for what I want to do. I want to actually get as close to testing real hardware architecture as possible. And in fact, I've even thought of buying another pfSense router, box, or OPNsense, and then teaming them. So you can actually, when you reboot, that's part of it, but that's not the only part of it, right? So I really do want to simulate, like small to medium size networking. So what would I do if I were going to set this up for a college or for a school or, a small church or something, and I actually am going to save my money and I'm going to get another OPNsense router. You can actually this is so cool. And I didn't even appreciate it until I watched that little video. You can have 2 OPNsense routers, and OPNsense has an HA availability setting, and you just go click on a button or two, and now both of your hardware devices are teaming, and they're taking care of the whole thing. Switches to VLANs, and you can simulate VLANs. You can like watch the traffic on them. There's just so many cool things, and they get hot enough that if I were going to put that in a virtual machine, it would really be busy. And the other thing too is about having the wires is so I can literally like pull out the wires and put one wire if I wanted to do. I don't need to because I'm using OPNsense now. And the main reason I got these, by the way, is because, and I'll return to this, is because I was going through my Netgear Nighthawk, and then it needed a firmware upgrade because it had 5 out of 10 of the changes that it had done were all security related, and virtually VLAN. I don't like VLANs. I don't have any intention of using VLANs anywhere in my network. I just don't like them. I don't trust them. I know people trust them all the time. I don't. So if I can get away with a hardware separation, I'll do that. Network people are going to laugh at me for saying that, but I don't care. Because, I mean, look, the VLAN technology is very sound. You know what's not sound? The human maintaining the VLAN. So I'd rather have a physical network. And they call me old-fashioned, I don't care. But, all right, 32 gigabytes. It doesn't say max power draw, though. We haven't been able to find that yet. Other technical details. Let's go see if we can find this. I'm sure we can find it online. Let's go look. Protectli Vault. Protectli Vault 4-port. Which one is this? This is for VW. Let's do this. Copy. Paste. Max power consumption. Security measures for everyday home Wi-Fi are don't use commodity hardware for your Wi-Fi, and plug your Wi-Fi into something that you can into a separate port from your rest of your home network or the network you want to protect, because Wi-Fi can be hacked like super easily. That's what I finally have now. I'm so happy about it. Yeah. Oh gosh, did you really? Java interview? Java's a tough language, man. Yeah. So I mean, right now my Wi-Fi is on the same subnet, but the best way to do that is to put your Wi-Fi in a separate interface. Like, so for example, my OPNsense router here, I got 4 dedicated, 10 gig interfaces, and you put one into each of the interfaces and set that up on a different network. It doesn't even have to use a VLAN. And I plan on doing that to set up a DMZ eventually as well. So yeah, I want a certain amount of my stuff to be in a DMZ, which means it's like not connected to anything in my home network at all. Not even from the back. I'm going to set up, one of the reasons I got the OPNsense router was because we got talking about, allowing inbound access to my stuff. And I am going to set up a honeypot for sure. And I'm going to set it up in my own DMZ. And the only way into the DMZ is going to be through SSH. And then I'm going to provide my own access externally into it. So it'll be as if it were not even on my network. It'll be as if it's totally separate. And so, yeah, that's my plans anyway. Because I mean, if you set up a DMZ, it's easier to set up a DMZ, by the way, if you have a dedicated LAN, if you have a dedicated device. Because I literally, like the OPNsense, this thing comes with 4 separate NICs, right? So op1 and op2 can be plugged into a switch that is your DMZ, and that does not, I mean, normally a DMZ, I know DMZ can be a nightmare. DMZ can be a nightmare if you want to allow access to it from internally, like most DMZs are. I mean, that's the idea of a DMZ, right? I don't really want it to be that. What I want my op1 to be is a dedicated internet-facing network, period. And the only way into it, I mean, usually a DMZ will have, back doors into it from inside of the company or whatever. I don't want that. I want to make, I don't even know what the term is. Maybe call it an island. So I want to put an entire network, probably in the 10 dot range, on opt1 and attach that to a switch. And then the devices on that switch are not accessible by anything that's not directly connected to the machine, like a terminal, or, allowed from the outside through SSH. And that will be basically my cloud. So opt1 will probably be my cloud. And that's the only way, in my opinion. I know this thing is so cool. I mean, look at the back of it too. You can you can access it with old school serial terminals, or hyperterm or whatever. It has like multiple monitors. You can have 2. It actually makes really cute noises when it comes on and off, and you can attach, storage. So you can like plug in NAS on this. So that's actually really, really cool, because you can, let's say you want to make option 1, right? Yeah, I bought this. So you can make option 1 be a network, and you can actually share files across a file share, because they both will mount the USB from the device. And so you get kind of an NFSE kind of thing with just plugging in a device, just like a basic device over there. So you can get, I mean, which is kind of nice for file transfers, stuff like that, larger file transfers, if you're going to be doing that. So maybe you do. I have that actually. Yes, I just put that into my. Yep. Where's my related? Yeah, this is well, it's in my, I put a link to this already in my log. Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. To be fair, I learned about it from Network Chuck, and then I researched other alternatives, and I was like, no, that's the best one. So that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for how much power it draws. it does get pretty hot. So we went to go to the PDF to find the max power consumption, which I'm still looking for. It does not have a fan. It's absolutely silent. Yeah. A lot of people like the Unify switches. I have my Netgears and my cheapo switches. I don't care. Is it 16 watts? Where'd you find that? Oh, there we go. Max power use is 16 watts. Oh, that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. Okay, good. All right, well, there we go. So let's put that number in here, add it to my total. 16 watts. Oh yeah, it has a power supply and it has a mount. So if it's weird, it has lots of stuff in it. It has a mount, so like if you wanted to mount it on the back of a monitor, as if you were gonna like do kind of like a Mac Mini kind of thing where you have like a monitor that's also a computer. Yeah, it comes with a serial cable and everything. It's really cool. I love it. And of course it took PFSense and it even knew to like boot from the USB stick automatically. I didn't have to mess with the BIOS. I mean, it's just really great little thing. It's super fun, by the way. I haven't even gotten started like looking at all the really cool stuff. I don't want to show you right now because it'll give away some of my work stuff, because you can literally see every packet and every connection, and it will actually tell you the top like 20, 30, 50 connections and what the IPs are. So you can, like, if you think you're getting, it's just so cool. I mean, you can, I feel so powerful having OPNsense running. What, OPNsense? I posted a link. Oh, you wanted to get the actual link to the, yeah. So there's the device, but you need to what you need to put on is you need to put OPNsense on there, right? So OPNsense, you have to install OPNsense, which means you have to, download it onto a USB stick and then boot from it. And you have VGA mode, which is what I used, and a security onion on a VM. Yeah. You'll feel more powerful. I've thought about doing a security onion on a VM. I mean, yeah, when you're doing that, mostly though, when I say powerful, I mean like if somebody tries to get into my network, God help them. Because I mean, I'm glad that I'm kind of getting to that point, because dude, I have so much logging and statistics going on. I could find anybody. So all I got to say is if someone tries to break into my home network, which is, I've like scanned my home network several times with my IP and there's like nothing showing at all, because I don't have any inbound ports even right now. And I probably won't. Oh yeah, you want to see my public IP? I don't give a shit. Yeah, here you go. Come hack me. I dare you. There's my IP. There you go. Whoops, that's not it. My IP. No, I'm not crazy. No. Do you think NahumSec is crazy? Do I need to play you the link from NahumSec? People who are scared of showing their IP have no idea what they're talking about. Injection prevention already. I have plenty, yeah. I'm not going to tell you all the stuff I have in place. But I may or may not have activated that on something, yeah, already. I'm not on a VPN. Who gives a shit? Tell me why you're afraid to give your IP up. Why? The only reason, and this is NahumSec said this himself, the only reason to be afraid of giving up your IP is for OPSEC reasons. DDoS, I dare you to try to DDoS a home system. Dude, you will recur. If you try to DDoS a home system, you have any idea? You're going to, especially someone provided by Time Warner like I am, or whatever the new one is called. If you try to DDoS a public IP in the range that's managed by some of these IP providers, they will invoke the full power of their entire network organization to take you the fuck out. And if you're stupid enough to try to DDoS a residential IP, God help you. I feel sorry for you. There's no way you can DDoS that residential IP. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. OPSEC is apparently, operational security. Like they don't know where you want to live, right? So yeah, and I actually looked this up. You can actually look at my IP and you can see where I live. Oh, hey, I live in Mooresville. Well, you know that already, so there's nothing there for me to reveal. Yeah, and most people, they don't want to give up. OPSEC is the main reason that hackers don't want to turn it over, or people that are in this, they don't want to turn. This is the reason that Network Truck doesn't want to give you his either, because he's got thousands of people, right? With mixed success. What, you have DDS, a residential person? Okay. I don't care about your IP. Yeah. I mean, in private, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. People know literally the house number I live in, right? So I've already said about myself. I'm not encouraging hackers and stuff like that, but I've accepted the risk of it. And that's, it's the part of being a streamer. I'm sorry. That's the part. Am I always going to be telling everybody people have seen my license plate? Oh no. I have a choice. I can either not stream and live like under the illusion that I'm a private citizen, nobody knows who I am, or I can, it comes with the streaming, it's a part of it, right? And eventually I'm going to get, hackers are going to try to get in here and do stuff, and it's going to be fun. Actually, I'm looking forward to it. Not right now, but I mean, if you wanted to now, I'm not to attack you back, but I'm definitely planning on it. So yeah, if you port scan my system, seriously, or my honeypot, yeah, I will find you. and I'm actually planning on doing a bunch of streams where we do that. So Jay Beers and I have been talking about it. We've been talking about setting up honeypots and chasing down people with honeypots. And yeah, I mean, there's really, yeah. I'm more scared of the other stuff, right? The social engineering, my stepson who's constantly watching illegal movies and downloading shit to do that and not aware of the risk. And I mean, I want to protect myself from him because the chances of his system being compromised already are pretty high. So downloading definitely is, yeah. I set up a honeypot and AWS using Docker Swarm and like 20 separate containers of vulnerability. Ooh, that sounds fun. I hope you'll like stream that sometime. Isn't that fun? So at a certain point, open source is, it gives advantage. It's assuming you're going to get hacked because your sports is might be, yeah. I'm much more afraid of people inside teapot, honeypot. Yeah. Yeah. And I've actually, it's kind of fun to craft a honeypot, right? So I kind of want to make it look like, oh, hey, I'm just because my IP is in a residential sector. So I want to make it look like I'm just some kid on Minecraft. And, and I've, and I want to show up and show an IO and I'll go check to see if I pop up and then, go from there. The first honeypot I set up will probably be in the cloud. I don't think I'm going to set that up at home yet. I'm confident I can, but I don't know that I want to do that. Plus I want to be able to go into it from anywhere, including like on my trip. I'm going to be, leaving different times. What's that? What is this one they're looking at? When are you going to set up a server so we can play? Let me get my rack done first. And then maybe we'll set up a Minecraft server there. Apparently Minecraft is a big bandwidth hog. So I don't know inbound bandwidth, how that's going to affect. I mean, most of the streaming stuff I do is outbound bandwidth. Yeah, on the honeypot for sure. Yeah. And I still haven't. Ooh, that's nice. Thank you for this. Teapot all-in-one multi-honeypot platform. Ooh. I'm so glad you came in. I need to give you points. Where are you? I'm gonna give you points. I'm gonna give you points. Who's there you go. Did that work? Why didn't it work? Did I do it wrong? Did I do my command wrong? Maybe they're not here anymore. Do. I thought it was add rep. Did it not work? Come on. There we go. That worked that time. Yeah. Rep is just fun. It's not really anything. Anyway, so yeah, I got the wattage and everything. 2 times 27, 100 watts. I want to get this UPS eventually. This thing is $2,000. I'm not going to get that for now. This is like an eventually. Eventually, I'm going to put on that. And they're super expensive. Yeah, a UPS is $2,000. A 2K, a 2 amp one is. Yeah. Oh God, look at you. So yeah, so we have, I mean, power wise, I think we're good. I just wanted to put that 60 watts on there. All right. So, mixed power strip. I don't even think this is plugged into the mixed power. I think it might be actually. So let's put 16 plus 35 is 51 watts there. Yeah. The pull to where you are is drawing over current, then nothing. Oh wow, yeah. I just like being able to know what I'm drawing, you know. That's all. All right, so let's get on to the main event here. I don't know how much time I have, but I'm gonna I want to do some setup here. It's pretty strange to use a CPU loop caused by VMware on Anton. It turns out to be related to the network. So this is something I want to report. So some of you heard that my KVM died, and at the same time, you also heard that Anton was freezing, right? Well, I think it was related to USB mounting through the virtual machine, because ever since I unplugged it, like from the USB thing, Anton hasn't hung at all. So, and that would make sense because, you know, there was some weird kernel level problems that were causing Anton to freeze. I had to pause it and then unpause it to get it back to perform again. And since then, I mean, I ran the whole day today with Anton on and just going in and out and no problems at all. So I think there's something about the fact that either my USB controller is dying on my computer in the back because it's plugged in all the time, or the switch is actually bad, the KVM. Inverter charge base. I think that's all it is, but I don't know. I would never dream of making my own KVM. I mean, my own UPS. That's dangerous. I don't think I would do that. I made a mistake of buying a 20 amp PDU with the plugs that don't fit, and then I returned it and got a 15 amp. That cost me $14 in restocking fees, so don't do that. Hey, thanks for the follow, Jader. It got everything cabled up. It turns out my MSI power adapter was missing, so I had to get one of those. That cost me like $30. And I bought a bunch of half foot and 1 foot cables to finish up the cabling. And so that'll all be wired up. Now, I've promised people, look, my cable management is not the best, but I don't care. It's not in the way, and it allows me to pull out my devices and put a USB stick in the back of them, and plug them into the monitor. So it's perfectly fine for my Homelab setup. The cables are very much out of the way. They're just, I mean, I might, after I get them all done, I might actually put a couple more zip ties, not zip ties, but Velcro, just to kind of keep them looking a little bit nicer for ventilation or whatever. But they're not that bad. They're not that bad. So solar, I would love to get solar. Yes, I would love to be able to power my lab with solar. That would be so cool. Yeah, it's on solar based setup. Oh my God, that's so cool. That is so cool. I can't wait to do that. I really want to do that. I do. I want to do that. You know, guy does solar. I want to do solar. Yeah. So anyway, there's the Vault I got. There's a link to it in there. I did the research on the apartment and I found all the circuits. Like I said, I'm going to be writing off one of our really crappy bathrooms and using the power in there. I'm not going to be using the water in there as soon as I do though, because I just don't want to risk, you know, having all 15 amps go through my body. You know, just, I'm not, you know, whatever. So yeah, and so the other goal I have today is to, what time is it? We have until 9, wait, are we supposed to finish at 8:30 or 9:30? We're supposed to go 9:30 to 10:30, right? Well, I have to check my calendar. I can never remember. Right. Okay, so we're going until 9:30. 9:30 to 10:30 is QCA. So we have another hour to do something fun here. GFCI, yeah, and that's another reason I use the battery, because the reason another reason I'm using the bathroom 20 amp is because it does have a GFCI on it. So in the event that something bad happened, the chance of me dying are less. So yeah, I know, and this is a really shitty apartment, so I'm not going to trust it. I'm not going to be going into that bathroom very much. So we're cleaning it up and writing it off, and I'm putting a bunch of storage in it, and we're just using the central bathroom. We only have another like 8 months here. So, but I wanted to, put that together. So the other thing I wanted to do today is I want to actually start on my Kubernetes installation. No, I only have 8 months here, so we're short timers here. In fact, I don't mind telling. Oh, I have another announcement to make, and I'll talk about this in detail. I'm not going to KubeCon. Okay, we're not going to KubeCon. Cranbook is off the table. We'll talk about that during QCA later. I'll be talking about what's coming next and where we're moving and stuff like that. So, that's a YouTube sub. Thank you for that. I'm going to bed. More solar more solar to activate tomorrow. Are you doing solar? Yeah, that's so cool, Jalopy. Yeah, I would love to have you come do our solar. I would actually pay you to fly out and do it. I really want to do that. Maybe I just give you my Raspberry Pis for now to keep you happy. So I want to start installing Kubernetes. And I'm going to put this at the end. So actually, no, let's make a new log entry because it's kind of a different thing. So let's do that. We're gonna start to install Kubernetes. Good night. Start to install Kubernetes. So I have my 3 control nodes and that have Core DNS installed, and I have 3 worker nodes. So I need to go through the process of starting to set up Kubernetes and stuff. So we are actually going to do that tonight with this last hour. So so mini 1, and make sure I can get there. Mini 2. And I haven't pushed my bash RC to everything, but I don't necessarily need to. I'm debating about whether I want to write an Ansible rule to do this, or I want to do it all by hand. And then thanks for the follow. And then so this is probably what I'm going to do. This one that I'm going to set up now, I'm going to force myself to do it redundantly. I'm going to run kubedm on like 3 different things or whatever, and get good at that, because that's part of the practice. And then I want to automate that with Ansible in my KVM. I mean, not my KVM, my KVM, my virtual machine setup, which is in my server. I have a server. The server, just so you know, so I have a server that's designed for like, bringing up and just tearing down configurations of any kind. And I don't know if I'm going to use Terraform or Ansible, or I'm going to continue to work on Fluff and write that and use libvirt only instead of VMware, like Mossy had originally suggested. I think Mossy would be happy to hear Fluff but I think you can probably script all that stuff. Super cool. Thank you, computers. It's great for like having you here. It's really makes me happy when I help other people. So yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, if we had I think we need to go, Mossy, I think we need to go through, and Tony Fa, if they're still here, I think we need to go through that whole evaluation of Fluff and whether it's needed. And I'm perfectly willing to make Fluff that's got a libvirt driver only. And if somebody wants to make the drivers for other things, but I'm actually tempted to, keep it simple, like you say, and, not needing, I don't know what the landscape looks like, in terms of like, bringing up VMs quickly, and consistently, there may already be tools that do that in the KVM Linux only terminal space. Right. So when I first envisioned Fluff, and I'm going to put this here, revisited, plans for Fluff. Firecracker uses KVM. Firecracker is a physical stand for fast video. Is Firecracker open source? So what is Firecracker? And Firecracker is written in Rust, if I remember right. So why is my DNS taking so long? I'm happy to give you a tour of my machine. Yeah, no, sure, we'll do that. Firecracker is a small explosive device. No. VM. Firecracker was a parasite. I know that, but I didn't know if it was open source. So, lightweight, these are multiple installations. The Firecracker process is jailed for from secrets to BPF. It's definitely a Rust thing. And I'm not opposed to the Rust thing if it does what we need. So, Firecracker Firecracker is open source virtualization technology that is purpose-built for creating and managing secure multi-tenant container. I mean, that might be the thing that pulls me into Rust. First of all, I want to be on record here. Firecracker is in the sweet spot for Rust. Absolutely. If you know, I've said often that there's not much relevant stuff you can do in Rust, but Firecracker is very relevant. AWS is completely committed to Rust. Yeah, they are. I know they are. Too much so. They make blogs that are completely nonsensical, and they don't make any. You know, I don't want to get into it, but they got a lot of people angry because they pretty much lied about a lot of stuff on that AWS blog. But it doesn't matter. I mean, they're really into it. I really don't hate C++ or Rust. I just would not be reaching for either of them. If I was going to make a video game, I would reach for C++. If I was going to make Firecracker or a VM tool, I might reach for Rust for that kind of thing. All this stuff about Rust being supported in the kernel is a lie, except for that they're going to allow drivers to be written. So Firecracker falls into that space where it's kind of a driver. It's talking directly to KVM and to LXC and all that stuff underneath. As I understand it, I'm not, really astute in that. I don't really know. How's it going, Keno? So, Firecracker, if there's going to be a successful Rust application, Firecracker is the most interesting of all the Rust projects out there right now to me. Right? I'm not interested in Alacrity and fuzzy finders and that shit. I'm super interested in really high performance, low level, kernel integration type things, and frankly, I think that's what has piqued the interest of people, respectable engineers like Christinova, right? So she's been doing kernel development for a long time, and she also has the courage to say the truth, which is 4 out of 10 on Rust so far. But let's change that. She's a very positive person. So Firecracker is an open source virtualization technology that is purpose built for creating and managing secure multi-tenant container and function-based services. So Firecracker is literally the thing in the sweet spot of Rust and the thing that I'm looking to do on my own on-prem cloud. So if this is open source, so what I'm looking for with Fluff, what I was looking for with Fluff, originally with Fluff, I was looking to do it from a system that had VMware VirtualBox installed. It was designed to be more of a consumer level way of opening up like 3 or 4 VMs really rapidly on your machine without having to go through the VM GUI or the command line and write your own scripts. And people have bash scripts and stuff like that to do that. And that's what Fluff was meant to be. It was meant to be, you have a configuration file in YAML, you like bring it up and tear it down, and you can like reconfigure your VMs like instantly from your desktop with like, enough horsepower to do it. But the thing that's changed is that I am now running a KVM server, which, is totally headless and not related to my desktop. And so the use case for Fluff has changed, and I have a feeling that the use case for Fluff now overlaps with something like Firecracker, and Firecracker is obviously better for this. And it's patch 2.0. So Firecracker enables you to deploy workloads on lightweight virtual machines like micro VMs, which provide enhanced security and workload isolation. Traditional VMs, while enabling speed resources. So it was developed by Amazon Web Services, improved customer services like AWS Lambda, Fargate. And the other thing I really like about Firecracker is that, I really respect, other than that stupid blog about Go, I really respect the technical team over at Amazon, even though they love to over-engineer shit. To be full disclosure, that's the only company that I actually interviewed for and I decided to go against it. I didn't go past the first round, but the recruiter reached out to me, and they wanted me to interview for that. And I, it's very, very tempting to go work for Amazon. I mean, it just is. I mean, they have crazy technology over there, and so Firecracker also skips the BIOS. Are you kidding me? Holy cow! To start a new VM, they skipped the BIOS. Oh my god! I mean, that all by itself just is like really compelling to want to look at it, right? Firecracker is a virtual machine monitor that uses Linux kernel-based virtual machine, kernel-based virtual machine KVM to create. And there's no debate at this point. KVM has won the virtualization battle. It's by far the most robust, the fastest, and scales the best. Period. And Windows Hypervisor is kind of an afterthought that a couple of people are using to run WSL2 a little bit faster. It's really not a player, in my opinion. KVM is the player. Red Hat agrees. Amazon agrees. GCP agrees. Yeah, it's brand new stuff, right? So this is actually why I'm interested in Firecracker. I'm glad you mentioned it, because Firecracker is one of these technologies that's going to be extremely disruptive. Why? Because if it's open source, and I haven't decided, you said it's Apache too, right? If it's open source, that means you can install it on your own on-prem stuff. And that means you can build your own on-prem clouds that are tantamount to Amazon clouds in terms of the base level virtualization. And yeah, KVM doesn't have tutorials, no, but libvirt does, and QEMU does, right? So I mean, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. I've been trying to figure out how to virtualize my server, and I mean, there's lots of advantages, right? You can port forward VNC, the libvirt manager, and just use that, which is a lot like using VMware, but not, right? But more intriguingly, I think I would probably want to build a Firecracker installation with containerd and run it things that comply with RunC. That complies with RunC. Does it will it do Creo? I wonder. I mean, is it got any interest in Creo at all? I mean, that would be interesting, because I haven't picked a container manager yet. I was going to do Creo for my Kubernetes stack, but I mean, we can test all that. So, Firecracker enables to deploy workloads in lightweight virtual environment machines called micro VMs. Firecracker is a virtual machine monitor that uses the Linux kernel, to create and manage micro VMs. Minimalist of design, it excludes unnecessary devices and guest functionality. Oh my god, I love it. It reduces the memory footprint and attack surface. Oh my god, I love it. This improves security, decreases the startup time, and increases hardware utilization. Firecracker is generally available on 64-bit Intel. Firecracker is used by integrating in alphabetic order. AppFleet containerd. Oh, so it is containerd. Okay. Kata containers, North Flank. Firecracker can be run on Linux or OSV guests. Our latest roadmap can be found here. Firecracker is open source on Apache too. Well, this is a new member of my stack. I'm actually going to put it down here. So, which is interesting because it's containerd. So, yeah. Where's my stack? I wrote it here somewhere. It should be Creo, but I haven't tried to path yet. Yeah. Wait, did I put it? Did I put my application stack here? Oh, here we go. You don't need container. Well, yeah, because it's. First of all, I'm using it for the virtualization orchestration, not for the container stuff, right? And you go have Firecracker. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. So, where's my KVM? But it's OS, KVM, libvirt / Firecracker. I'm going to do some Cedro and some Talos on there. I put Creo, but I guess we're going to have containerd a little bit if we're going to do integration with the REST interface. Are you kidding me? So there. Then we got a lot of stuff to install, and it's going to take us a while since I talk so much. But this is good to know, because this is, let me put this in the log actually. So I'm actually going to drop fluff then. So dropping fluff. I mean, it was fun, but I don't think it's necessary. I think I think that if you're going to use Windows or Mac and you're going to make virtual machines, you should use the VMware interface, bottom line. And is it annoying that you have to go restart your servers when you want to do it? You have to start them and stop them? Yeah, it is. It's like a, but fluff is not going to get you much more, because, I mean, even on a pretty hefty, streaming machine, it's probably better for you to keep your streaming machine into a gaming machine, streaming machine, and then get yourself a server. And then when you have a server, now you're talking like straight KVM, and things like Firecracker become possible. That drops off the dropping fluff because redundant to libvirt and Firecracker. So I am definitely going to try Firecracker. And I mean, that was a good conversation. I'm glad we were able to talk through that. I really want to try that. I mean, not to mention the fact that, I mean, if you become good with Firecracker, you're like writing your own ticket into the internal systems, into core software architecture or something for Amazon, if you want a job there. And of all the Silicon Valley companies, one of the company that I could, vomit the least for joining would be Amazon. I could potentially do Google or Microsoft too. These days I probably could do it. I don't know if I ever would. Making a libvirt GUI for Windows. Yeah. Oh my God, they would. Yeah. If they could get it to work. Docker Desktop is KVM and QEMU. People don't know this. Docker Desktop is libvirt and QEMU. I can't stand Amazon. Yeah, a lot of people don't like Amazon for different reasons, but I think they played the capitalist game really well, and you can hate them for that, but don't hate the player, hate the game. They should spend. It's a total fucking monopoly. I mean, they own everything, right? So, yeah. MSFAT. Me too. And I don't think I could have worked for Microsoft, back in the 90s for sure. I was just too morally opposed to what they were doing. They're still doing crappy things. All of them are, by the way. And you look deep enough, you'll find shit in pretty much any company that are doing. There's some companies that's all they do, though. And so, yeah. When it's on the Linux kernel, when it's happening, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. When Microsoft has invested so much in it, it's in Microsoft's best financial interest to get off the operating system game. And if I remember reading correctly, they've already got rid of the Windows division. It's like a subdivision of some other thing now, because they realize they're not making any money at all on the OS. Period. They're not making any money on it, and so their money is all in cloud and services and games and stuff like that now, especially since they bought Bethesda and everybody else. So they're not. They've very publicly admitted that they're not making any money in that. So the sooner that, I mean, there's got to be a moral imperative inside of Microsoft to get their OS onto the one that's maintained by the internet for free, because financially it makes so much more sense for them. As soon as they can, I mean, Apple is kicking their ass by having done that very thing. Every time Apple comes out with a new release of their distro, they factor in all of the BSD, changes and everything, and they make a new version of Darwin, and they just send it to the bank. They don't have to do shit. So, I mean, they do obviously, but not, yeah, they got a lot of money. Yeah. So, And Azure's not bad. Azure's not bad. No, I don't particularly hate any of the cloud providers. I don't use them. I'm a big on-prem person. I wish the world would focus more on developing on-prem, which, to tell you the truth, Rust obsession aside, Amazon's focus on releasing Firecracker as a potential on-prem solution for companies out there, so they can get their foothold in there and provide that, sweet pro support that open core business models love. I'm all for it. I mean, if they actually legitimately are pushing and supporting, on-prem virtualization, I'm on board. I'm on board because that could be really valuable. And not to mention the fact that that might just allow us to run something like Terraform, which, you know, I'm not a huge fan of. I'm a huge fan of HashiCorp, but Terraform every once in a while rubs me the wrong way, and I just don't know if I like it. But if we did Firecracker internally, I'm pretty sure we can integrate Terraform with that. I don't know. And then you would literally have your own Homelab cloud, and you could, I mean, you could save tons and tons of money with cloud services by setting up your own on-prem cloud. Yeah, the ESXi, we actually tried ESXi here before we did this, and it had some really weird esoteric error, and that was enough to kill it for me. And I went with Ubuntu server after that. So, you know, when you're talking about something like Firecracker, you don't even care what the VM is, what the OS of the VM is. So that's not as big a deal. Increasing productivity. It definitely is. Rust is sparking excitement in a certain type of developer. And it's kind of split, right? So Rust, in my opinion, has got a ton of like really, really intelligent kernel level people that are super interested in it, and they can't not be. And that includes people like Chris Nova, and Gamozo, and Brian Cantrell, right? And it's also sparking interest in a bunch of like really horrible JavaScript script kiddies who want a real language. Finally, they want to grow up and be real boys and girls and everything in between, and they want to have a real language. I'm sorry if that offends you. That's my perception. And so they're like, Rust is going to help me grow up. I'm going to be a real boy one day. And they do shit in Rust that nobody would ever do from the other crowd. The other crowd's like, what? Rust to Wasm. Yeah, so is Go to Wasm. So Wasm's going to be the new Flash. You watch. Wasm's going to be the new Flash. I swear to God. Yeah, there's C# to Wasm. There's everything to Wasm. Yeah. Yeah, Disney's playing with Wasm now, big time. But whatever. Because of GC and runtime, you need to include. So. Heavily on Wasm now. Wasm 2 with the Blazor affiliate. Yeah. I'm not opposed to Wasm. I think we need it. I think Wasm is turning the web into an applications delivery platform instead of a communications network. Can we just admit on that? Can we just agree to that? That's what it's doing. Is that bad? No. But it's not what the web was intended to be. I say this all the time. The web was 4 things. The web originally was a way to save from sending emails to everybody. Bottom line, and you can, I cite as evidence, you know, the MIME type for every HTTP request, which is the same exact format as an email. They were tired of sending emails to each other. They said, let's put all the emails in a single directory and serve them up. Boom. Web was invented at CERN. That's what you got, right? Communication. That's what web was invented for. And people keep fucking forgetting this because, and then they put JavaScript in shit, and they put their blog on Wasm, and it destroys its ability to be used as a communications medium, and it drives me nuts. Number 2, the web has become an applications delivery platform, no doubt. PWA, Wasm, Flash, all of those things are just a way to get an app to a user. Bottom line, those things don't need to be searched. They're not communications. It's a completely different thing. 3, you've got streaming and broadcasting. And people forget that Netflix, Disney, Hulu, YouTube, Twitch are the web. I mean, it's virtually indistinguishable from the web because it's a streaming service, but it all runs off the backbone of the web. Even though it's you know, you can't really call Twitch the web, but it is, right? And 4, I believe, would eventually be a conversational web, which I don't think that really took off, but that's things like Alexa and you know, interactive conversational assistants and stuff. And I do think there is a future for that, but nobody's even talking about that right now because they're still too busy, like, you know, putting up their walled gardens around their favorite version of conversational agents and stuff. But yeah, I think, which is why I'm not against Wasm, but I really think it's just the next Flash. People are going to be putting stuff in Wasm that's not going to, there's going to be a huge movement. They're going to start news groups about like JavaScript and search, which is a really hilarious news group, by the way, if you ever want to get a real laugh. These companies are deploying massive applications and they're getting complaints because nobody can search their website anymore because it's all been deployed in really, really horrible React code. And I'm not even dissing on React. It's just the way that they went into it is like all things have to be React. And so, you know, your Rust documentation doesn't need to be behind JavaScript. Technical, it's not progressive. And so this entire thing is just, it's just like a you know, just like a stinking cesspool of dead sites that have decided to put JavaScript as their primary thing. And all of a sudden they're complaining and publicly because they're like, help us, help us. This team that we hired to redo our website has made it so it's no longer searchable. It's hilarious. It's so funny. It's so funny. I mean, even with all of the shit they do with, like, you know, pre-rendering and static rendering and all this stuff, they still fail. Because they don't even think of it as that. They're so dead set on making everything into an app that they don't even think about baseline communication anymore, or progressive web design, which is, you know, the basis of the whole thing. So it's one of my common complaints. I argue about it all the time. If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you've heard me go through all this before. I think WASM was going to prove Electron, but that's why I'm not against WASM. I want you to know that, right? I'm for it. What I'm against is all the things that Flash got blamed for. Right? What did Flash get blamed for? All the same thing. Unsearchable websites. People were putting their entire blogs as Flash sites, security, all of that jazz. And I don't see the attention being put to those things. People just want to run Rust in their web browser, and they're like, oh, it's going to be all WASM, and that's fine. I do think Rust is the best WASM language. There's just, I don't say, you can cite me on that. You can say, I thought you hated Rust. I'm like, if WASM is going to be a thing, I do think that Rust is the best of the WASM languages because it is the smallest, and in the web, size matters because it's like downloadable content, size to, you know, time to live, all that stuff. So Rust is going to be, and not to mention the fact that Rust feels like JavaScript. The whole event model is pretty much ripped right straight from JavaScript. You know, the async await and all the promises and everything. And I mean, even like the singular return codes and stuff like that, you know, and default return code lines. I mean, so many things from Rust are obviously influenced by the web developers from JavaScript. And so I think it's going to be the killer language for that kind of thing. Anyway, I didn't really accomplish much tonight. We still have 30 minutes. Let's go see what we can do. Let's start to install Kubernetes. So this is going to be a melting pot language. Yeah, it does. If you look at the syntax, I absolutely hate Rust syntax. I don't think I've ever hated. Java came pretty damn close, but truthfully, I hate Rust syntax more than Java. It is so fucking ugly. It is so ugly. And if you're like Rob Pike or me, I actually care about that. It's impossibly slow to compile, not just because of all the memory, you know, the borrow checker stuff. It's just shit. The syntax is so bad that the compiler cannot be optimized because it's been so poorly written. It's just ugly as sin. Anyway, so yeah. It makes you scratch your head for a minute and go, what does this code do? Yeah. Learning linked lists of Java? Well, okay. Yeah, that's good. I mean, you got to learn them eventually. Might as well learn them there. So let's go. Let's like jump right in. Oh, I love installing Kubernetes. I'm going to use it using kubeadm. So installing Kubernetes. We need to install etcd independently. So we're going to install etcd apart from Kubernetes. So and I'm going to put that in my log. Starting with etcd, which I just wrote, I just was working with today at work. External etcd. We're not stacking it. Fuck no. I'm not putting it in a pod. Nope. No. I know a lot of people do. I don't. And we don't. And or core DNS. My core DNS is going to be external. So if you want to put it in the pod, fine. I think it's problematic because if the cluster goes down, boom, your etcd is gone. And so I don't know. I don't, especially if you want performance out of your etcd. I mean, there, look, let's go read about it. Okay, let's read about it from etcd.io. Actually, no, let's go read about it on Kubernetes. So some of you are listening are like, what the hell are they talking about? So let me just summarize really quick. So etcd is the brain of Kubernetes. It's really, really crazy ass fast, not as fast as Redis, but it's a crazy, crazy ass fast, highly sustainable, redundant data store. It's not a database. It's just a data store. Homelab VM for Kubernetes. Oh God, I mean, you need at least, I think you need at least 6 physical machines of minimal size in order to actually simulate a true on-prem installation. A lot of people would disagree with that, and some people do that with Raspberry Pis, which by the way is crazy. Raspberry Pis are like $200 or $300. You can get like, like a refurbished like mini PC for like $100, or a Mac Mini for $100. That's what I have. I have 20 Mac Minis that I inherited. So, all right. So let's go read this. So we're gonna read about So the first part of installing Kubernetes is installing, kubeadm, which is the tool that's been made to help you install Kubernetes. And I know for a fact, though, that during that installation process, it's going to ask, do you want internal or external etcd? I don't remember the exact prompt for it, but I'm going to go look for it right now. So we're on the Kubernetes docs, operating etcd clusters for Kubernetes. Etcd is a consistent and highly available key value store used as Kubernetes backing store for all cluster data. So as Tony Fa, I remember, once said, etcd is for highly available key value stores. Okay, if you're looking architecturally, if you're looking for a highly performant key value store, etcd is pretty good, but Redis will kick its ass every time. So if you're looking for a key value store that's going to be around and survive, a machine going down, etcd is your friend. Redis is not so much. I mean, it can be made to be HA. It's strongly consistent. Yeah. If your Kubernetes cluster uses etcd as its backing store, make sure you have a backup plan for those data. Which is funny. I don't even want to say it. I was charged with like auditing our backup of etcd today a little bit, and I was going through it, and none of our etcd backups were in Git at all. The only place our etcd backup existed, our script for doing the backup, was in a random head node, control plane node, being called from a cron job. That was it. And I was like, I felt like that was it, but I was like, certainly I have missed something here. Certainly this stuff is like written someplace. Certainly this stuff is like, in GitHub someplace that I just can't find. I did a full, text search on all of our organizations for it and couldn't find anything. And I actually had a small, meeting with our immediate team, and I brought 3 or 4 people on board. I was like, what am I missing here? You've been here before, right? I'm sure surely this is saved somewhere. It's the most important fucking process of the entire HA of our cluster. I'm sure this isn't just randomly, in somebody's share, mount drive someplace. Guess what? That's where it was. I just, the people that I've been working with, I love them to death. I love them to death. And the people that made these decisions are all gone now. They've gone on to make more money and do other things. And I have to ask myself, I hope they at least learned to put their etcd backup procedures and process and scripts into Git, because ours weren't. And please don't dox my company, but if you knew the company I work for, it's fucking terrifying. It's just fucking terrifying. The more I'm in IT, the more afraid I get for my life. It's like, you see these memes all the time of like people not using technology because they work in IT. So it's just like, I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, etcd is a consistent highlight. And so immediately by the end of the day, all of it was, I actually found like probably 20 lines of documentation in a SharePoint doc someplace that was completely out of date and irrelevant. It also had, when I found this shell script, I'm not even kidding, this is a true story. When I found this shell script, it had 2 shebang lines in it. This was in production, people. This was in production. It had 2 fucking shebang lines in it. One right after the other with a blank space in between. And yeah, sure, it worked and everything, but I was like, oh my fucking God, this code has not once had any peer review whatsoever. And it's like, and if I showed you, it was both of the lines for doing the backup were like these monstrous single one-liners with a big old pipeline in them. And I just, the people that wrote it are people that I respect and they're good people. And if anyone wanders across this video, they'd be like, what the hell, you know? But when I came across it, I got to tell you, my jaw dropped to the fucking floor. I have never encountered such bad code in such a high, and we're talking about a place where I've already uncovered like SSH, you know, private keys stored to private GitHub repos. So I'm telling you people, there is room for you to be a better person in IT if you start out right. And so let's get back to the task at hand. So etcd is a consistent and highly available key source used for Kubernetes, where it stores everything. In fact, it's private Git is secure. I know. Don't even get me started. I cannot say where I work because of these things. I mean, it's just terrifying. Oh yeah, it's like it's enterprise GitHub. It's private. It's obviously secure. Yeah, as long as you don't count all of GitHub being able to see it, because nothing protects enterprise repos. Those are stored offsite. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. So, I mean, doesn't it scare you, Roasted? It's just like everybody's doing it. It's like, it doesn't make me feel better. It's like, none of us should be doing it, and we're all doing it. etcd is consistent and highly available. Okay, if your Kubernetes cluster uses etcd in the backup store, make sure you back it up. Linux backup software back in time. Interesting. You can find in-depth information about etcd in the official documentation, and we are going to go there. So, if your Kubernetes cluster uses etcd as its backing store, make sure you have a backup plan for those data. So here we go. Backing up etcd cluster. All Kubernetes objects are stored on etcd, like literally everything, and it's atomic. So, and start retention with rsync. Yeah. Periodically, I've always used rsync for my backups for that kind of thing. Periodically backing up the etcd cluster data is important to recover Kubernetes clusters under disaster scenarios, such as losing all your control plane nodes. The snapshot file contains all the Kubernetes states and critical information. In order to keep the sensitive Kubernetes data safe, encrypt the snapshot files. Nope. There's another thing we forgot to do. I'm actually glad I read that, because I have to redo the backup plan, and this is one of the reasons I want to set up etcd home immediately, because I'm going to do all of this as properly as I possibly can with all my friends here to help me, and so that I can, you know, work with our development cluster first and then our production cluster to do this. And then I do think you need to set up like a regular interval, you know, quarterly, I think, that you should practice your disaster recovery, because otherwise you're not going to recover from a disaster if you can't practice doing it. And we do it annually, but we don't have a quarterly. And you know, we're shorthanded now. We've lost, like, at this point, we've lost 4 people that have not been replaced. So the rest of us are the ones left standing, and we have to clean it all up. It came back to the same one I had on my last machine. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty much just an rsync guy when it comes to that. I like to home grow my own stuff like that. But this is different. So this is etcd. One of the things that they are not talking about, however, hey, this code looks very familiar. I may or may not have just seen this in a script today. Scaling out etcd clusters. Let's read about this. Scaling at etcd clusters increases availability by trading up performance. Scaling does not increase cluster performance nor capability. A general rule is not to scale your etcd, to scale out or in etcd clusters. Do not configure any auto-scaling groups for etcd clusters. It is highly recommended to use static 5-member etcd cluster for production clusters at any official supported scale. I am not going to run static 5-member. I'm going to run static 3-member. Because you have to have an odd number to get a quorum and all that jazz, right? A reasonable scaling is to upgrade a 3-member cluster to a 5-member one with more scale. You know what? Maybe I will do a 5. We do have 5, actually, now that I think about it. We added 2 more to get to 5. And the reason for that is because if you have one go down, if you know, if you have 5 and one goes down, you can take another one down in order to make it a quorum, and you're still running. If you have 3 and one goes down, you don't have a quorum and things will fail. So I might actually end up using a. I mean, how many control planes? Maybe I'll have like 3. Maybe I'll have like 3 control planes then, because one of the things I want to do, which others have done, is I want to kind of piggyback my control planes with etcd. Now, if you really want HA, you should have your etcd run on dedicated servers, and 5 dedicated servers, and then you should have your control plane stuff, your kubelets and your control plane nodes should be also on their separate machines. And if you really want HA, you should make sure that those things are in different zones. So availability zones, which is different buildings, different racks, and stuff like that. But you got to be careful because you can't have high latency between them. etcd will fall on its face with over, what is it? What was the number? I can't remember. I can't remember the exact number, but a certain amount of it has only so much tolerance for latency, and after, beyond that, it just falls on its face. So it's not like you can have something across the world. Then failure of one will still keep quorum. You think if you have 3 etcds, then one failure will still keep the quorum? I don't think it will. Will it? Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well, so maybe we only need 3 and we don't need 2. We don't need 5. That was my original plan. But it says here we should have 5 for a big thing. You can't have 2 or 4, right? A reasonable scaling is to upgrade a 3rd member cluster to a 5-member one with more reliability as desired. I think if I had 5 members, that it would slow down my etcd too much for Homelab, because it does have to synchronize all of them. So the more you have, the more members you have in the quorum, the slower it is, the more of a hit. I mean, even if 2 are failed, yes, yeah. I mean, a quorum is you have to have a majority, right? So, restoring an etcd supports from snapshots are taken from etcd process, a minor or major version. So there we go. etcd ctl endpoints. I think 3 is probably right. Yeah. Let's decide on. Let's go ahead and put that on the log. Decided. We'll say decided on 3 external instances for HA simulation without too much overhead on these little Mac minis. And I sometimes wonder if they're going to be able to pull their weight, but we're going to find out. Why an odd number? Because of quorum. Needs a majority of nodes. A quorum is, yeah, that's a cut and paste, yeah. Yeah, for any audience, adding 1 node will always increase the number of nodes necessary for quorum, yes. All right, so that's the decision we've already made. If the access to the URLs of the restore clusters change from previous, okay, this stuff is stuff I all know. I don't need to do, we're going to actually do restores and backups from etcd. And we might even do VMs, KVMs for this, so I can install. One of the reasons that I want to actually manage etcd independent of Kubernetes is so that I can practice managing etcd independently. So if it's in a pod, then you have to deal with all the pod shit, right? You have to go in there and make access to them and everything, and it's kind of a pain, actually. So the only advantage of that so far that I know of is that when you upgrade your Kubernetes, the certs get updated automatically. And we did have a dev cluster go down because our certs expired, and you just have to remember to renew your certs if you do it externally. So, there's that. And I'm really horrible with certs, by the way. I have very little experience in 2022 with cert management and stuff, and that's like a real core part of all of this, which is something I need to get taken care of. So yeah, we're not going to do backups. etcd enable write, snapshot status, snapshot d volume, snapshot d. Managing my logs. I haven't gone to that point yet. I probably Elasticsearch and Prometheus is probably what I'm going to try. Although I'm not opposed to using Splunk or something. Choose your days to learn cert management. Yeah. Yeah. Using what to work. We're using Elasticsearch at work, yeah. That's not proprietary information. Pretty much most of the world is elk stack, yeah. So we're confident with cert management. Me too. Yeah, cert management I think is like the Achilles heel of a lot of engineers, and it's so important. If you get cert management wrong, like you put a star where you should have not, you can like open up your entire enterprise to security vulnerabilities. And if you don't do them properly, you end up expiring them, and entire swaths of your IT infrastructure die. So learning cert management, I mean, there's no class on cert management. I mean, you know, computer science classes don't teach you anything anyway. I mean, that's not true. They teach you computer science, which is not IT. So yeah, I do think we need like a focused learning of cert management. And I am so bad with cert management. I know the general commands, but then there's, we tried to talk about this the other day, like a couple, 3-4 months ago. And it was like, okay, do we use OpenSSL or I mean, there's competitors to the utilities even, right? There's like new utilities, that are all managing certs differently. And like, which one do you pick and where do you invest your mind share knowledge, you know, based on all that. So yeah. Yeah, and it does. It gets pretty deep, and yet it's so important that you get it right. Yeah, and that you set up reminders, like, you know, critical reminders that are going to land in your email over and over again when your certs are expired. Because, dude, your cert expires and stuff just stops. So, replacing a failed etcd member. We're not going to do that. We're going to install etcd. I think we have enough information here. I don't see them even talking about, yeah, to run a load balancing etcd cluster. And let's see, multi-node etcd cluster for durability and have 5 member cluster. I mean, it doesn't go into it. I thought it would. I thought it was going to go into that where you can like, it doesn't. It looks like it. Does anybody know? Maybe Tonyfon knows. Did they change the official instructions to say that etcd is external now? I could have swore it would, that if you don't do it by default, kubeadm will make it into a pod. If I remember etcd cluster running. Yeah. I'm going to access etcd cluster, replacing a full etcd cluster. This is all about making a new cluster. Yeah. Create a snapshot, 5 snapshots. It doesn't say anything in the official docs about it, though. Oh, no, we're in etcd.io. No wonder. Okay, never mind. I take it all back. I was in etcd. I feel stupid now. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, before you begin, you need to have Kubernetes cluster. Minikube, no. Run etcd is a member of odd members. I mean to learn Kubernetes for a while. Oh, thank you, Mr. Hurley. I'm anytime it says Homelab Init, a significant portion of that's going to be Kubernetes related. On the weekend, there may be a bonus stream here and there about Kubernetes. Shout out to Hetanis and I don't remember the other names of streamers. What's his name, guys? What's the other guy who does K9S all the time? What's his name? He's really great. He's regularly doing Kubernetes stuff also. I can't remember. He has glasses. He started. Do you do some too? Nice. There was I know what I need to make I'm going to make my own awesome list. So there. I'm going to do it right now. So there. I am. I am very sporadic. What time is it? Okay, we got 15 minutes. See here, RBX Rob. Get a repo create. We'll call it Kate's learning. Kate's learn. Learn Kate's. Learn Kate's. Learn Kate's. Collection of Kubernetes learning resources. Public. I think I might have one already. Watch me have one already and I'll be like sad. Yes, git branch. My thing's broken. Yeah. My dot git config is not as it normally is. Anyway, I'll go back to main git status. We'll put loosely compiled list of Kubernetes resources. And then I like. And I'm going to be very opinionated on this. So anyway, streamers. And so het is there, right? And God, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. He and his buddy started streaming a long time ago, and they can do kind of a dual stream. I wonder if they're on right now. Let me go check something real quick. Alt F4, yeah, that's it. Thank you. What is the actual name? That's definitely him. Yeah, he's more of a DevOps guy, but that doesn't matter. He's pretty good with his Kubernetes, and he's actually showing you how to set up stuff in the cloud thing. So how's it going, Fullhammer? Yeah, let's go find him. So twitch.com.tv. That's gonna make noise. Sorry, here it comes. Alt. Alt F4. Did he change his thing? No, that's not him. No, that's not him. No. Alt. You should stream. Yeah, games is fine too. It's. You found him? Oh, yeah. The Alt F4 stream. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm not adding to the stream until you start streaming. Sorry. So, unless you have something to link to. Oh, okay. I mean, I'll eventually add you, but, you know. The Alt F4, it's literally that long. Okay. That's what she said. Okay, so, and then there's head certified now and got all this stuff. He's like a master of certification. I suck at it. He is. He's like, this certification was hard, but I got it last week, and like I've been doing this for years, and I just hate tests. I hate certification tests. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So yeah, he got his CKA already. He said it was really hard. He failed the first time. So I know. Well, and I bought 3 of the certs and I didn't take the test because I'm an idiot. I was too busy working on this stuff and writing APIs and stuff. I have all kinds of rationalization. Did you help him with the second time? And that's nice. Yeah, that's cool, Dumb Chicken. Then why are you not streaming? Brianna, you need to stream. Gall darn it. Because he was not following correct things. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff out there. RCA is really tough. Yeah, I never got mine either. I haven't got a single cert. I am useless. I don't matter. I cannot take tests. I don't care. I'm like such an anti-test. Give me a week to work on something to prove I know what I'm doing, and I'll usually come through. But put me in a pressure cooker and put me a test. So one of the reasons I make up for that is, through like a big, huge lab in my room that I built myself. Gosh dang it. And, no, I don't have any certs, but do you want to see my, 50 machines in a cluster that are virtualized and configured with Cert, with Firecracker that I set up myself? Let me talk to you about that for, 20 minutes. And then, or I can hand you my cert. So, I'm biased. I'm biased. That's all I have to say. Anyway, okay, let me go follow the list, and if you want to send a PR, please do. Yeah. So let me commit. Git add dash dot git commit dash add initial resources and git push. So git push dash u origin main. All right, there it is, rdbxrob/learn Kates. If you have resources you want to add to it, go ahead and commit them. I'll suggest them as a PR, and I'll go vet them and decide if I want to add them or not. And we can do that. And I know that, every night that I listen to Het, who I think is probably streaming right now, we can go there too. And there's Nana. Nana's awesome. Nana's the one where I learned from Nana mostly. She's got some really great YouTube videos, and they're dated. They're really, really dated, but they help you get. He's not going to stream today. Okay. It's saying security certs. Yeah. Security certs make a lot of sense. They really do. All right. So let's read more about the Kubernetes thing. We only have like 4 or 5 more minutes. I might actually come back on after the Q&A stream tonight and do a little bit more streaming, because I had kind of a late afternoon nap. After I had dinner with my wife, I just kind of collapsed. It was very enjoyable. All right. So what I'm saying is I have energy. So I might use that energy after our QCA to keep going, because I want to get etcd installed, and I'm literally writing the backup at work. You know what? I have a thought. I'm having a thought here. I think I can stream tomorrow. I think I can stream my workday tomorrow, because I'm currently tasked, sort of with creating an etcd backup strategy and practicing how to do it. And so everything that I'm doing right now is fair game for getting paid for these hours, because knowing how to back up etcd and getting good at it, since we don't have anybody who's ever done it on our team anymore. I'm not even kidding. There's not a single person left on our team who has ever set up etcd from scratch or taken a backup. And I don't know what kind of position you have on this, but in my world in IT, if that's your current situation, taking 5 hours to master etcd and do this in your own home lab is fucking work time. Going through the process and knowing how to do it, because that is what I'm being paid for. I'm being paid to know how to do this. And so whether or not they're going to officially give me the training hours to take off, I don't care. They want me to learn this as fast as possible. So what I've just done here is convince myself that, a 5-hour stream of me doing etcd backup and writing the script for doing it and fixing our completely fucking horrible script that we have to doing it right now is 100% okay to do. And it's not proprietary and it's not IP. In other words, I'm going to stream etcd backups tomorrow. So that means we'll go ahead and do QCA, which is coming up. And I will be doing, tomorrow, let's go ahead and put it on the schedule. So, because I know people from YouTube are probably following this. So we're going to be doing beginner boost and all that. I'm going to go ahead and put, starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow, I am going to put from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. an extra Homelab Init tomorrow. Because it's going to be focused on etcd. I'm just making the plan because I need to get this stuff done. And it relates to work, and so what if it relates to your work too? Not to mention the fact that every time I've ever done this on stream, the quality of the work that I do ends up being better, because people are like, dude, you're not doing it right. I'm like, okay. Tell me what I should be doing. So here's the counter. Don't worry, there's nothing proprietary in here. There's no secrets about my life. People like, oh my God. Somebody thought I worked for Verizon the other day because I said this here. Which is not true. So I'm glad to hear Jalopy got his AT&T figured out. Yeah, he posted that in the IRL rig stream. Jalopy's been working on an IRL streaming rig for a while, a portable one. And he got that to work. So super happy to hear that. AT&T, yeah. Peer engineering, yeah. Co-working, peer engineering, whatever you want to call it. And we do have an API meeting from 2 to 3 tomorrow, so I have to make that, and then that's going to kind of kill the rest of the day. I don't know. We'll find out. I mean, but this will give us a good solid amount of time to work on this stuff. So this is going to be dedicated etcd, and it will get saved to YouTube. So if you're watching the YouTube video right now, just look for that video when it comes. It'll be a long one, and it'll probably be very, wander around as usual. It's just my style. I'm sorry if that doesn't appeal to you, but I have T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T, in case you're wondering. I know. We're going to do a whole video thing on my IRL rig setup, Matt. Yeah. And we're going to video me putting, that's going to be the final piece of the rack after it's all done, is I'm going to build out the two, I have to, I'm going to glue the fans onto them and talk about them and make them up. And then I'm going to swap one of those out for the IRL rig that I have now. And then I'm going to put the other two in my actual, Homelab so that I can do ML with them. They have 128 CUDA cores each. Yeah. So having that stuff sit around is kind of a waste. I want to make sure I can practice some machine learning eventually on that, which I don't know anything about. I mean, I know the idea of it, but I've never actually done it. And there's lots of great streamers for that, right? We'll have to make another awesome list after that. Okay, so what time is it? 9:28. You know what? Let's go ahead and wrap up tonight. I think we talked a lot about where we are and where we're going, and we made a bunch of architectural decisions, which are really important. A lot of people might be like, all talk, no work, but especially when you're doing architecture, talking through things like, wattages and power consumption and stuff like that might seem like a waste of time, or researching whether to use etcd as a standalone or not, or, whether to do core DNS or use OPNsense for your DNS and all that. This stuff does not immediately seem valuable, and I promise you it is, because you have to talk through it. Otherwise you're going to end up implementing the wrong thing and you have to back it all out, which, by the way, I do have to do now, right? So all of my systems are moving to DHCP now because I want the flexibility to check, because my OPNsense router has the ability to register the host name within DNS. So I don't even have to manage it. I can just use DNS for everything and just reactivate DHCP on all 20 Mac minis. Well, when I installed them, I gave them all static IPs under the 192 network, and I have to go through and touch each one, which means I'm really glad that I have my monitor. I pull out the Mac Mini, plug in the monitor, go into it, change it on the console, put it back, restart NetPlan apply, and then put it back in and do the next one. But I've got, another 15 of them I got to do. So that would have been avoided had I thought a little bit more about my router up front. I said, no, I'm just going to use my Netgear. And then I saw the horrible firmware on the Netgear and all the security holes. And I was like, no, I cannot in good faith set up a Homelab that's exposed to the internet with this piece of crap as my front line defense against everything. It's not happening. So that's where OPNsense came in, and that changed a bunch of decisions after that. And we spent a lot of time talking about that. I still did that. All right. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap up there. So what do we have in the log here? So let's see, you flashed GDWRT on your Netgear. You did? Interesting. Maybe, I don't know. I might come back tonight though, because I'm really jazzed to get this done. I really want to work on it. Started to install Kubernetes etcd. How about that? Started to research Kubernetes installation, starting with etcd. And it's still too much overhead in these little Mac minis. It's true. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and save that for now. Git -git commit, add September. What day is it? I don't even know. 22nd. God, I love. Oh boy, a Windows error. What have I done? I hate the Windows bell. I hate it. I'll be happy to be off of it, but whatever. I want to admit something. Just the other day, I was almost convinced to throw Windows back off and go back with like Mint on my desktop. Because I don't know how much of the streaming software actually, but as soon as I do that, I'm going to regret it because I'm going to want to play a game of Overwatch or something. And I'll be able to DDWRT. DDRWRT is good too. Yeah. You can put that on pretty much anything. Yeah. Yeah. I originally I had DDWRT on my Netgear. I have an old Netgear router that I put it on, and I don't think it's anywhere near as good as OPNsense. So, yes, I do like it. I won't lie, but I have been really spoiled by OPNsense, like a lot. Pretty much OPNsense is everything that I built into my own firewall machine back in 2000. I got a really old, it was bigger obviously, but I bought a card for it, an internet card, and then I put all the stuff on it, configure my own TCP, at the time, God, it was like TCP pipes, and now it's like, I mean, it was even pre that. I mean, you had to like learn all of the IP tunnels versus, like, what is it called? I can't even remember now. Like all the different tables that you had to run. And I set all that up, and I set up my own, I basically made an OPNsense without the web interface. And that's pretty much what OPNsense is today. IPFSense KVM, into OPNsense for interjectional lab. To go on strike from Twitch? No, fuck no. No, Twitch is a company. They're doing company things. You don't like it, leave. I'm sorry. This is one area where I agree with Twitch. So, you know what? That's a random user. I'm going to use that as a question in our QCA. Okay. So we're about ready to start QCA. I don't know. We'll go for it here. So, let's actually just go ahead and, okay. So YouTube, I'm going to stop the video now. We'll see you in a bit.